of August 5th, 2024. Your forecast, my forecast, the forecast. You know why I'm revising it, don't you? You know, because Mercury is retrograde. Mercury is retrograde. Let's remember that Mercury retrograde and Mercury station to retrograde, depending upon where you are in the world, either late Sunday or early Monday. And let us remember that when Mercury stations, the days around it are the ones where we have the most pernicious Mercury retrograde effects. The most notable and dramatic effects usually happen, especially things that like you'll read about in the news and so on. Not that we haven't had a lot of stuff while Mercury goes through his shadow, but that means for this forecast, Monday, Tuesday, and if you're watching this the weekend before, if you're watching on Saturday the 3rd or Sunday the 4th, now communication stuff goes awry, messages might be misunderstood, contracts and things like that. You got to really look at them very carefully. Any sort of technology kinds of things, anything having to do with the electronics of things and stuff like that. Not a good time to buy a computer, not a good time to get a new cell phone and so on. Unless it's Apple, because Apple has a lot of success when they launch products with Mercury retrograde. All of their most famous products or the most successful products launched with Mercury retrograde or right before or right after. Right before, I think. But Apple seems to be the great Mercury retrograde exception, or maybe they're just teaching us a new rule. Anyway, you get the idea. Mercury is going to be retrograde all month long, only going direct on the 28th. And that's pretty long retrograde. And so just get used to it, right? It's going to be deep in shadow or retrograde all of August. So all of those Mercury retrograde things are going to be part of the picture for the entire month. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. Okay, so should also point out that we are just waxing out of the Leo new moon, which is also one that is a sort of late Sunday-ish kind of thing. Let's say that the Leo new moon is a great time to set intentions around following your joy. And if you have some specific kind of thing that you want to highlight, I would say that the best time for that would probably be, well, if you have clear skies, the best time would be when you can see the crescent moon in the evening sky in the west, right? That's when you can see the moon waxing is the time that would be the best, or anytime soon thereafter. Right around the new moon itself, meditate on things or whatever, contemplate, relax, snooze. But it's not necessarily the best time to set the intention. Let it wax a little bit before you get to that. And don't forget, afterwards, another day or so after that, some little gesture on your part, a little bit of action. Universe likes your intentions and all of that just fine. Really responds well to action. So whatever that thing is that you feel you've got to do, if you want to paint, then at least look and see what paint sets are available, or go buy a book on painting or something like that. Just, it doesn't have to be a gigantic gesture. Sometime maybe next weekend you could do a little bit more at the first quarter moon. But right afterwards, just do a little, even if it's a little search or something like that, even just tell somebody that you are interested in doing this thing or something like that. A little bit of action. A little bit of action goes a long way. Intentions, you light the candle and blah, blah, that's great. That's good. It's part of the process. A little bit of action. A little bit of action is a good idea. All right. So we got those two major things going on. Now, when we get to midweek, we have some really interesting, first of all, the moon through the early part of the week through about midweek is going to be in Virgo. And that's a really good time of just waxing moon in Virgo. Great time to take care of business as usual. It's a great time to tidy things up and to organize. It's a really good time for, regular tasks. Now, a lot of those regular tasks are ruled by Mercury, and so you may have a little bit of difficulty with them. But there's nothing wrong with taking the time when Mercury is retrograde to, let's say, organize your files, or if you have files still, and you have files on your computer. But organize things, clean up your desk. But clean up your desk and things like that would be a great idea during the early part of the week. It's a nice little Mercury retrograde, Moon in Virgo kind of activity. Also, it's a nice time to get a fresh start on things. And although the Moon is in Leo and it's all about joy and having fun, Venus has moved into Virgo, and we have the Moon going through Virgo. It could be a good time to be a little bit more work oriented, a little bit more healthy lifestyle kind of thing. For a few days, you can handle that. Perhaps I'm talking about myself. But the early part of the week might be good for just doing a little a juice cleanse or something like that. But something like that, be a little bit more reserved about things. Because then we get to midweek, right? Now we're going to have the Moon in Libra, which is nice. We're going to have the Moon in Libra from the back end of the week until it goes into Scorpio. And it's going to be a little bit more energetic. We have the Sun sextile Jupiter. Jupiter is in Gemini, very verbal kind of energy. Actually, there's a lot of verbalization, a lot of verbal energy right now. Even with Mercury retrograde, even with Mercury stationing in his sign of Virgo, there's a lot of verbal energy. It's going to really resonate all throughout August because we have Jupiter in Gemini, very verbal sign. And we have Mars in Gemini, very verbal sign. Lots of discussion, possibilities, right? There's twins, there's more than one possibility. We're looking at multiple possibilities. We're considering the options. We're talking about stuff. Mercury is retrograde. Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, is retrograde. So, Jupiter and Mars, we'll see exactly how much they can get off the ground. But, it is a time for talking about stuff now. Jupiter in Gemini connecting with the Sun in Leo. That's a really nice combination. It's a really, really nice combination. It suggests that we can get moving on things that would have to do with your Leonine joy, communicating about that. It's Mercury retrograde, so you got to be a little careful about it and make sure that, you get your intention across clearly to others. But it's just a good, positive kind of energy. Relationships come into focus at this time as well. Retrograde Mercury meets with Venus, and partnership asteroid Juno. This is the partnership asteroid. As I always explain it, Venus is what you want, and Juno is what you got. All right. Juno will be at the very, very end of Virgo, at right around the midweek there, like Wednesday, Thursday. Very, very end of Virgo, very precise about what it wants, and yet opposite Neptune in Pisces. So it suggests putting relationship in sort of like a soft focus, like many possibilities, easing up if there have been some tensions, but this isn't working, it's sort of soft focus, sort of blurs the lines a little bit, which can be really kind of, pretty helpful for lots of stuff. Certainly, I mean, this is mostly going to be relevant to existing partnerships that are kind of at a tipping point, for going to tip into better, worse, but it's sort of at a tipping point. Most of us aren't going to notice this at all, but somebody's got to be out there having some fun, right? So Mercury or Juno at the end of Virgo, opposite Neptune, then goes into Libra. Now, Juno and Libra, now we've really, the feel of Juno has changed a bit, a little bit more towards traditional relationship types of things. And the first thing that Juno does is catch a trine from Pluto and Aquarius. The feel of this is one of we have been through this sort of considering all possibilities, retrograde Mercury conjunct Venus, and then Juno opposite Neptune. We considered all the possibilities. Juno goes into Libra and trines Pluto. It's like a decision point, not a rough decision point. It's a trine. It's a trine. It's not a rough decision point. It's whatever we imagined, whatever you imagined, becoming real, getting a burst of energy for the real. We can make this into a reality. Well, we'll see how it happens. As I said, for most of us, unless you happen to be in a relationship, that's some sort of a tipping point. Probably not that relevant. Probably be like kind of nice. Probably kind of nice. But I don't think that it's necessarily going to be all that powerful in and of itself. Coming up to the weekend, my guess is Friday night's going to have a little bit more of the flavor, but even Saturday night is the first quarter moon, and that should be pretty good too. It's the summer. It's a summer weekend in August. So you should be able to get out and do some stuff and have a good time, right? Well, we'll find out how that went sometime next week.